Magnus Carlsen is the best in the world. He's a 21-year-old Norwegian, reigns supreme in a sport played by 500 million people. It's chess. Many don't think of it as a sport because nobody moves. But chess masters will tell you it can be more brutal than boxing. That's because at the championship level, the objective is not only to win, but to demolish your opponent. That can take hours. The best players need extraordinary endurance, so most of them are young. Magnus is the youngest #1 ever. And no one can explain to you how he does what he does. It seems to come from another world, which is why he's become known as the Mozart of chess.
The story will continue in a moment.
Bort til G3.
Just look at what he's doing.
Bort til løper D2.
Competing against 10 players simultaneously. That in itself is not extraordinary, but Magnus cannot see the boards. He's facing the other way.
Bord 5 C slår D4.
So he has to keep track of the positions of 320 pieces blind.
Bord 5 tårn B1.
And the number of possible moves, infinite. Magnus comes out on top. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Do you have any idea how extraordinary this looks to?
No, it's one of the amazing things in chess that you don't really need a board. You can just keep it.
But it transcends chess. I mean, I just can't fathom what you've just done. It's just, it seems like it's supernatural. Last December, we caught up with him at the London Chess Classic. He arrives with his constant companion, his father. Magnus will play against 8 other top-ranked players, but he is the star, as celebrated in this world as Eli Manning is in his.
The world #1 player from Norway, Magnus Carlsen.
Today Magnus is playing America's #1, Hikaru Nakamura. The match will last 4 hours and there will be no breaks. Magnus will go on a stroll now and then, but his mind won't be going anywhere. He says he's concentrating not only on this game, but on other games played by other masters at other times, which he might want to draw on now. 10,000 of them. We gave him a test.
It was played right here in London, and Simpsons on the Strand, in 1859. I don't know the month or day.
You got it wrong.
Not 59?
51.
Wow.
You see, your memory isn't superb in everything.
It's not what it used to be.
Chess players are pretty poker-faced, but occasionally Magnus will flash the smile of someone who knows it's all over but the handshake, while Nakamura dives deeper into doom. Magnus was playing brilliantly, and he knew it. Is there anything in life more satisfying than that feeling when you're playing brilliantly?
I don't know, but it's really, up there.
It's pretty good.
Yes.
The spectators seem as mesmerized as the competitors. They're all chess players, of course. If they weren't, it would be like watching paint dry. Worldwide, 100,000 are watching on their computers. The suspense keeps building until endgame, by which time it's cutthroat. But do you enjoy it when you see your opponent squirm?
Yes, I do. I enjoy it when I see my opponent, really suffering when he knows that I've outsmarted him. If I lose just one game, then usually, I just want to really get revenge.
This is war, isn't it?
Yeah.
For 50 years, chess was war. It was a battleground in the Cold War with the Russians, who were dominant. But then an American came along. His name was Bobby Fischer. In 1972, he took on the Russian champion Boris Spassky, and he won. It was an international spectacle, and the enthusiasm has not waned.
What number is this?
Back in London, just down the corridor from where Magnus is playing, 500 novices are learning how to master kings and queens. Do you ever play any grown-ups?
Yes. Yep, I do play grown-ups. In fact, I'm getting to the hang of playing grown-ups.
Who's your favorite chess player?
Bobby Fischer.
Bobby Fischer.
And I like Magnus Carlsen.
You like Magnus? Chess is now routinely taught in schools all over the world, including the United States. In some countries, it's compulsory. Chess can be taught, but not genius. Magnus seemed like a normal enough kid growing up outside Oslo. But wait a minute. When he was 5, he could name almost all the countries in the world, and their capitals, and their populations. Magnus's father, Henrik, didn't think that was terribly unusual.
He did have a good memory and the ability to concentrate for hours at a time on a specific topic, and he seemed to be interested in a lot of things, new things all the time. But I thought that was normal.
What got him into chess? Sibling rivalry. His older sister started to play, so he wanted to beat her, which he did, quickly. Then he started winning tournaments. Before long, he became a celebrity, one of the first Norwegians to excel in a sport that did not involve snow. People lined up in shopping malls to play him. When he won, Magnus said it was just a game, no big deal. He couldn't understand why people were making such a fuss.
Why does all people want to talk with little me, you know?
Magnus's parents took him and his sisters out of school for a year, rented out their house, sold their car. It was part holiday, mostly chess. They went to Reykjavik, Iceland, which is where Magnus took a leap into legend, when he was matched against Garry Kasparov, the Russian, considered by many to be the greatest ever. And how did Magnus prepare? By reading up. Kasparov kept the 13-year-old kid waiting for half an hour, and when he did arrive, he didn't even say hello. It was speed chess, the Formula One of the sport, a race against the clock. Kasparov started slow. Magnus started getting bored.
I sat there for a few seconds and then I thought to myself, you know what, I don't know why he's thinking, but I know what my response is going to be anyway, so I'll just walk off and watch the other games.
Kasparov had never played anyone so young, but he did not exude confidence or happiness, and he did not win. Magnus played him to a draw. It was a sensation. Kasparov left quickly. No nice game, kid. Nothing. How did Magnus react? Guess. He thought he had blown it.
When I actually got the winning position, I had little time, I was nervous, and I couldn't finish him off.
Why were you nervous?
I was playing Kasparov. I was intimidated.
You were intimidated by playing the world champion when you were already 13 years old?
Yeah, go figure.
It warranted a celebration, of course, and Magnus got to choose.
Yes, I went with my family and had some ice cream at McDonald's.
By the time he was 19, the boy with the ice cream had become #1 in the world.
He has a very deep understanding of chess.
Frederick Friedel's company, ChessBase, publishes the world's most popular chess program. Is this an indication of genius?
Of genius and raw talent. Now, Magnus has still hasn't reached his peak. He hasn't really worked yet.
I've heard him described as lazy, which I find quite extraordinary.
I think that's an impolite term, but it's probably appropriate.
Except when he's not. Magnus plays soccer whenever he can break away from the board. He's got a mean backhand, and he's moonlighting as a model. There's never been much money in chess, but Magnus is changing that. Sponsors are lining up to endorse him. He's making about $1.5 million a year. But it's a solitary life. Magnus is on the road 200 days a year now. Between matches, He is alone in his hotel room, getting ready for tomorrow's game. He works out almost every day, knows he can't concentrate, for it's often 7 hours unless he's in shape. Magnus says he wouldn't be able to tolerate this life if it weren't for his father, who's always there for him. When you travel with Magnus, what's your role?
I'm a servant. And a chess fan.
You enjoy the games.
Yes.
And so, he says, does Magnus. Boy, when you look at him, when I look at him, enjoyment is not the word that comes to mind.
It should. Maybe you have to compare it to a writer or a painter. I mean, probably if you see them at work, they're not smiling or having an easy time. They're exploiting their mind to the utmost, and the same with the chess players.
But that level of concentration is not danger-free. A fair number of grandmasters have gone mad, which is what happened to Bobby Fischer in his later years.
This was not an arrest. This was a kidnapping. It was all cooked up.
Do you ever think about that?
Yes, I do. You know, when I was watching the recent film about Bobby Fischer, I was thinking, you know, is this going to be me in a few years? I don't think that's going to happen, but you know, it made me think a little bit that, you know, I have to be aware of this at least.
People have described you as the Mozart of chess. How do you react to that?
Yeah, maybe, but was Mozart ever asked how he does this? I don't. I would be very impressed if he had a good answer to that, because I think what he would say is that it just comes natural to me. Natural to me. It's what I do.
Which is what you say.
Yeah.
It's what he does for fun, too, at the Oslo Chess Club where he started. He's playing a Norwegian grandmaster here. It's called bullet chess, and Magnus has a handicap. His opponent is given 3 minutes to make his moves. Magnus has 1. It's just a friendly match, but Magnus always hates to lose, so he doesn't.
Oh, whistling. You got him.
Yeah, I got him.
Magnus Carlsen is the top chess player in the world. He's 21 years old. Superhuman is about as good a word as I can find. I can imagine what it's like to be a good tennis player. I can imagine what it's like to be a good skier. What he does is just unfathomable.
Most of the time, I know what to do. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to sit there, calculate for 45 minutes, an hour to know what the right move. Usually I can just feel it immediately.
If you know immediately, why do you sit there for a half hour? We've been watching you for a week and you're sitting there until we're watching the paint dry.
Well, because I have to, you know, verify my opinion, see that I haven't missed anything. But a lot of the time it's fairly useless because I know what I'm going to do, and then I sit there for a long time and I do what I immediately wanted to do.
He's called the Mozart of chess, and I can see it. You couldn't understand how Mozart did what he did. It came from another world. And Magnus Carlsen is doing things that no human being I've met before can do. At one point, he played 10 chess players at the same time, looking the other way, so he couldn't see the boards.
Bord 5 ser slår 4.
I mean, just think about it. 10 chessboards that he has in his mind every second.
Bord 6 dame A3.
Doesn't lose track of what's happening on the boards and what he needs to do next.
Bord 5 dame D3.
Can you explain what was going on in your head?
Really, I was just focusing on trying to remember the positions. And from time to time, I had to think a little bit to come up with a good move as well.
Even he admits that it's not easy.
I would wonder where a certain piece is, and so I had to, replay the game in my head from the very beginning.
How long did it take you to do that?
I don't know, just half a minute or something. Bord 4 H3. It will be interesting to try like 20 people sometime.
Have you ever done that?
No, 10 is the most I've done.
But you'd like to try more?
It would be fun.
I really liked him. There's not a false bone in his mind or in his body. Totally honest. He wouldn't know how to deceive, which is interesting, because chess is all about deception. But when he's away from the chessboard, you know that when you ask him a question, he's going to answer honestly.
So what are you doing for the rest of the day?
I'm preparing for the next game.
He had a day off. He'd been in London before, but told us he'd never seen the sights. We took him up onto this, it's a giant Ferris wheel that overlooks London, and it's right on the south side of the Thames, so you can see the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben. We were up in the London Eye for, I guess, 45 minutes or so. He didn't look out the window. He wasn't interested. Do you ever stop thinking about chess?
Sometimes, but right now I was actually thinking about chess.
And you were thinking about specific moves? Or?
Yeah, I was thinking about something specific in my preparation for my game tomorrow.
Magnus told us that he can remember 10,000 games that have been played in the past. He's got them in his mind.
Okay.
So we set up a board.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Carlsen Kasparov from Reykjavik, 2004.
And you were
how old? I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to surprise this guy. I was trying to surprise him from the day we met.
Why were you trying to surprise him?
Just for the hell of it.